What is up, woke family? It's your boy Wokey Bucks, and I'm back again with another live stream. So the topic that I'll be discussing this live stream today is in regards to three assets, right? The top three assets that you can invest in order to be able to build generational wealth. You have to understand that we're living in a society right now that is based off of inflation and is causing prices to be able to increase. And the one thing you have to understand that is that when the prices increase, the value of the good goes down in value, right? Let me repeat that again. When the price increases, the value of a good goes down in value. Therefore, you need to be able to have some sort of hedge towards inflation, towards the increase of interest rates. Because as we're talking right now, the Federal Reserve is decreasing interest rates. Therefore, as they're incre- as they're decre- as the interest rates are decreasing, they're going to try to create a way in order to be able to fake interest rates increasing in order to put us in a situation that they might think is better. Because what they're trying to tell you is that interest rates decreasing is not going to happen for a long time, aka being transitory, as well as inflation being transitory, but they're not going to fully come out and tell you the truth. Therefore, you need to invest in these three assets in order to be able to guarantee cash flow and protection against um, the manipulation of the central government through inflation and other factors. So, the first of the top three that we're going to discuss in assets that you need to definitely make sure that you get are cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are assets that you definitely want to ensure that you definitely acquire because they're an inflation hedge in the sense that they're not running off of the regular system that the US dollar is running off of. So if the US dollar is manipulated through the Federal Reserve and the system, through the bank, right? Cryptocurrencies aren't manipulated through that same way. So you're protected through inflation to an extent. The only thing you have to encounter with cryptocurrencies is that on certain days, the value of the cryptocurrency is going to go up, and in certain days, it's going to go down. But there are definitely some positives to that in the sense that with cryptocurrencies, the good thing is that whenever you're ready, especially once you make a gain in cryptocurrencies, you have the ability to be able to cash out. So once you cash out, it's called capital gains, right? But the negative to that is that you're going to have to pay capital gains tax when it comes to you being when you being able to cash out on the gain that you made from cryptocurrencies or in general. Let's say that you have anything that you have to sell and you sell it, right? And you make a profit off of that, especially a profit that was more than how much the price of the actual product was worth, the value of it that you sold it for, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax, right? So there are different ways in which you can be able to avoid that, right? Through deferring taxes. For instance, you can do a 1031 exchange, which basically means that you defer the taxes that you would have to pay of capital gains into a real estate property, and then from there you will basically be able to defer the taxes from about a good 5 to 10 years. That's one thing you could do, but there's also a multitude of ways in which you could be able to defer paying capital gains taxes for a couple of years, right? So that's one asset that is part of the top three that you can basically invest in order to be able to help yourself against the manipulation of the central government through inflation, interest rates, and all of the things that are happening in the Federal Reserve. The second asset that you want to invest in, and this is by far, in my opinion, the most important, real estate. You want to invest in real estate because real estate is going to give you that cash flow, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, and it's also an inflation hedge against the manipulation of the central government in the banking system. Before we dive into real estate, I want to make one point 100% clear. As you and I are on this live stream right now, and we're having this conversation. The people over at the Federal Reserve in Washington D.C. are constantly printing out more and more and more and more paper money. So you have to realize that the more money that the Federal Reserve prints, the less the value of the dollar is. Let me repeat that again. The more the Federal Reserve prints money, the less the value of the paper dollar is. Therefore, you want to invest in assets that are going to protect you against the manipulation of the central government, which are also called inflation hedges. Real estate does that because not only does it give you either cash flow or capital gains, it is also an asset that is either going to appreciate or depreciate over value over time, right? Which is definitely a tax write-off. And it's also going to be able to inflate, right? It's also going to be able to inflate when it comes to the prices, and it's also an inflation hedge. So real estate is also another thing that you definitely want to invest in order to be able to protect yourself against the manipulation of the central government, right? A lot of people don't realize that. Real estate is definitely a tool that you can use. And some might say, what is real estate? There's different types of real estate. When you're going more for capital gains, you would invest more in houses, right? Single family houses, or you can go for a duplex, threeplex, I believe it's called, or you can even go for a fourplex, any type of regular, like probably anywhere between 1 to 5 units is what you would probably invest in order to be able to assure capital gains. But if you want to go for cash flow, you want to invest in multifamily housing. What is multifamily housing? Multifamily housing is housing that contains 5 units and above, which is basically going to be able to help you get a monthly check or monthly income because of people living in your houses, quote unquote, right? You want to be able to go for cash flow so you can be able to depreciate, appreciate, or amortize all of the real estate benefits that you're going to get from the previous year, right? So you can basically get tax benefits through 3 main ways in real estate, especially when it comes to cash flow and multifamily housing. You can get it through appreciation, you can get it through depreciation, or you can get it through amortization. And these are all ways that one would basically use to be able to decrease how much they would have to pay in taxes yearly, or if anything, not have to pay anything in taxes, right? These are the best ways for you to be able to, best ways that you could basically be able to fight inflation, create that inflation hedge, and create wealth, right? So we've mentioned real estate, we've mentioned cryptocurrencies. The third of the top 3 things that you want to invest in order to be able to build that generational wealth, right? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? So we have cryptocurrencies, we have real estate. There's one more final thing. Cryptocurrencies, real estate, and one more thing. It is precious metals. Gold coins and silver coins. Gold coins and silver coins. You want to invest in precious metals in order to be able to act. Those precious metals are going to act as an inflation hedge. The one thing you have to understand at the end of the day is that there is a relationship between gold coins and the US dollar. So as the US dollar declines in value, the value of gold increases in value. Let me repeat that again. As the US dollar declines in value, which is obviously on an everyday basis, the value of gold is increasing, right? Back probably 30 years ago, you could probably find gold for like, not even 30 years ago, let's just say 50, like in the early 70s. You could find gold for probably $30 for an ounce. Just assuming that silver is like anywhere between $30 to $40 an ounce. Now the price of gold within a 50-year time span has shot up from $30 an ounce to about roughly $1,800, anywhere between $1,700 to $1,900 dollars for an ounce of gold, right? Some might say that it's really, really expensive, but if you think about it long term, as gold is increasing in value, it is basically going to be as an inflation hedge against the manipulation of the central government. Why? Because the thing you have to understand is that precious metals are scarce. Let me repeat it again. Precious metals are scarce. Therefore, if you invest in precious metals and they're scarce, it is going to be hard for people to be able to take those things away from you. Because the thing is that at the end of the day, the value of the dollar is decreasing with time, right? The value of the dollar is decreasing with time. As we sit here and talk, like I said, the people over at the Federal Reserve are printing more and more money. So it's going down in value. So if the dollar goes down in value, gold is going up in value. Not that gold can't shoot back down, right? But if gold shoots back down, then that means that there's somewhat of an increase in the value of the dollar. But even with that being said, the dollar is eventually going to go back from going back up to going down. So as it goes down, gold goes back up. You understand? And gold is going to continue to increase, because if you really sit down and think about it, for gold to have been at $30 an ounce in the 1970s, all the way now to almost $2,000 an ounce, that shows you how much the value of the dollar has declined. The only positive thing that one can say about the dollars is that it's the U.S. It's the Federal Reserve coin of the entire world, right? But that doesn't mean that the dollar isn't a bad form of currency. It's just the best out of every single point of currency, because the thing you have to understand is that the U.S. dollar, as well as every other currency in the world, is fiat, which basically means fake. Therefore, you want to dump all of that money, all of that cash, all of those dollars into assets, like I mentioned, real estate, cryptocurrencies, and precious metals, in order to be able to build that generational wealth, in order to be able to build yourself, in order to be able to put yourself in a situation that you're going to be able to be financially stable in the future. These are the things that you want to do long term in order to be able to put yourself in a situation that you're going to be financially stable. Invest in these top 3 assets, and you should be fine. And you will grow, and you will become at a point where you'll be able to become generationally wealthy. If you understand, it's because you're woke. If you don't understand, you're not woke. This is going to be on this live stream. If you like this live stream, make sure you go spam that like button, leave comments, share this live stream with your friends, subscribe to the channel at Wokebucks, WOKEEBUKS, and tap the notification button to get all the latest videos that I post. Patreon link will be down in the description below, and so will social media links. So make sure you go give those a check. But without further ado, this is going to be this live stream. This is Wokebucks, and I'm out, man.